welcome to Concert Pipeline. I'm Steve Jones. Today on the program, we have what I'm calling Steve's Nostalgia episode. And we'll get into what that means really in detail, because I'm going to go deep and back with several bands that are nostalgic for me. And there's stories attached to each of these bands that I'm going to process through as part of this pod, and we're going to get to interact with in a sense. So really looking forward to kind of what this one becomes, because I don't have it fully fleshed out and planned out. I have kind of the form set, but I'm going to see where it goes in terms of my inner dialogue in terms of the three bands that we're going to visit today, and that is Everclear, Smash Mouth, and Motion City Soundtrack. So we'll get to that in a little bit. I have I have a rare calm weekend ahead right now where I don't have any kids here, and it's a Friday and I don't have kids, and that's very untypical. So I'm just going to chill and have a couple of drinks, eat some garbage food, which I try and get away with on days that I don't have kids, and feed us better when I do have them. I try to do that. And then the kids are gone on a weekend trip with their aunt and grandma in Santa Cruz at the boardwalk. So they're probably on rides right now, having the time of their life, and I'll get an update on that later, I'm sure. But I have that today and tomorrow. Also, nothing huge planned other than digging up the dead grass in my backyard. I'm determined to get it all done tomorrow and finish dug up, which is a lot ahead of my projected schedule, what I thought it would take to do, but I'm persistent. So that's my main goal for tomorrow, among other household chores and things that I need to do. But yeah, so that's pretty fun. We have some fun shows coming up as well, which I'll tell you about at the end of the program. But for right now, let's get into it a bit, okay? I had a chance to talk to Art Alexakis from Smash Mouth, and not from Smash Mouth, from Everclear. I'm mixing up the nostalgia here. I had a chance to talk to Art, and this one was pretty exciting for me, because I've never gotten a chance to interview Art over the years, and I've tried for this interview a couple of times. So I'm glad it came together. I knew it would be short. I knew it was going to be between 15 and 20 minutes long, because he had other obligations. But I was excited to get the time that I could get with him, which is why this is being expanded into other bands as well. That just really fits the vibe that I want to send out in this episode. So let's talk about Everclear first, right? Everclear. When I was younger and in high school, and we'll say a year or so beyond high school, we'll call it a year for all intents and purposes, even leading up to high school, when I was a kid, I had no real friends to help me form my musical taste. So my musical taste was questionable at points, and I had to kind of form it myself. And I had a friend group in high school that was, let's just say, not the coolest bunch. So I knew I liked going to concerts, though. I knew that was fun. And I liked what was on the radio, namely pop music and pop rock, and nothing too poppy too much, a little bit on the pop rock, we'll say, right? And so that includes bands like that are on the program today. Everclear was one of those that I was into, and I remember listening to their album. I mean, I had CDs, right? I had a CD case, like with all my CDs in it, alphabetized. I had Everclear, Songs from an American Movie, Volume 1, Learning How to Smile. That was one that I went to a lot. And so in preparation for this interview, while I was actually on a road trip to go see the second band, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, I put this album on and I listened to it in its entirety and went back to my youth, because I haven't pulled this album out in a long time. But from the first song, which is the intro, to Here We Go Again, AM radio, I got goosebumps listening to AM radio. And it's so amazing how you can go back 20 plus years in your life and pull out a song that you haven't heard in a long time. Maybe it's, come across at some point and you've been like, oh yeah, that's that song that I used to listen to a lot. But you can pull out this song and sing it word for word along with the track because of how well you knew it from the radio, from playing it on your in your CDs, that sort of thing. AM radio was one of those for me, and Everclear as a band was a band I really liked. I got a chance to, and I'll talk about this with Art in the interview in a bit, but I got a chance to see them in 2000 and 2001. Both shows were at the Warfield in San Francisco. One with Fastball that they're touring with right now as a part of their 30th anniversary tour. So they've toured with and played shows with Fastball in the past, and Nelly Furtado opened that one of them as well. I remember, so that was pretty interesting. I mean, I remember seeing Nelly Furtado, and I was like front of the crowd, right? And Nelly Furtado was hot. She was beautiful. I got lost in those eyes of hers, and her songs were solid. Also, she was a great performer, and I never got to meet her or interview her either. So put that on the list too. Getting to interview Nelly Furtado, but that I think that was a radio station show also that they did. But at both shows, Art pulled me on stage. He did this thing. He took one song and he pulled a bunch of people from the crowd, probably like 20 or 30 people who even, the stage got pretty filled, and brought him up on stage and let him rock out to a song. I remember one of the years it was Father of Mine. I don't remember the other song. It might've been Santa Monica that he did. And I got a bunch of guitar picks from that show, like 5 or 6 Everclear guitar picks, which I still haven't shared with Art in the interview. So I don't want to spoil the whole interview, but I want to talk about this band in terms of a place in my life. And this was obviously 2000. I graduated high school in 2001. So both of these years were like junior and senior year of high school when I was starting to go to concerts. My mom didn't want me going to concerts in the city. She didn't like it at all. She protested it to a degree and tried to shut down me being who I've become. And this is my thing, right? It's been my thing ever since. So this whole program is a rebellion against my mom. I'm sure we can go into it in therapy pretty deep. But some of those shows really gave me my appreciation for music. There's nothing cooler than being on stage at the Warfield in front of 2,500 people, jumping up and down and having a great time, and getting to walk through the backstage area to get back to the crowd and everything. And I mean, that was cool, right? And that was what I wanted to do, not the music part. That never clicked, right? Never making music or singing or anything like that. Anytime I try to sing, it's bad. But those shows were a pivotal point in my youth and my growth into the music that I liked. I've talked before on this program about how my buddy Joe helped develop, a lot of my taste in music and helped me appreciate music to a level that, is more in line with maybe what I should be listening to, and for my age and that sort of thing, right? So I can actually understand and appreciate music and respect music as well. But Everclear has had a point in my life, and I haven't seen them. I don't think I've seen them live since 2001. So it's been a long time since I've seen Everclear live. But getting to spend a little bit of time with Art was awesome. So I think we should hop into that interview and get the conversation going for my interview with Art, where he was on his tour bus in the Midwest. Here's my interview with Art. Art, first I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're super busy, and you're on the East Coast right now in the middle of your 30th anniversary tour, right?
We're in the Midwest. We're in Ohio. Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah. And how have the shows been going so far?
They've been going great. It's better than last year. We toured in 2021. In hindsight, I think it was a little early, but I think a lot of people really needed that. But we've had way better attendance, way better sales, and just better crowds, people less nervous about COVID, which is surprising to me because there's a full-on, surge going on right now, but apparently not in the Midwest and the South.
Yeah, apparently not. No, they're clear. I got it a couple of weeks ago, finally after 2.5 years, and it lowered my battery levels a little bit, but didn't slow me down too much. It was okay. A couple of days and I was past. But I know you had it like last year, right? And I think it hit you pretty hard, right?
I had alpha, and I was unvaxxed.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
rough. Really rough.
Yeah. So tell me about
touring
with Fastball, because I saw you 21 years ago with Fastball, and so tell me about the dynamic of playing with them again.
Well, it's really interesting. So we toured with them, like you're talking about, in 1998, and that was great. At that time, they had a hit. The Way, we had Father of Mine, and Marcy Playground, who was also on the tour, had Sex and Candy. And the songs every week would go back and forth between 1, 2, and 3 for the whole tour. It was cool. It was really cool. But this is a different tour, and we toured with them twice in the interim. It's back. They had for a while there in the last 5-6 years, they had a hired gun bass player. He's a cool guy, but there was something about the band that didn't have that feel that they had back in '98 when they were a 3-piece. And they got it back. They're a band again, man. They are so much fun. They're killing crowds. They're getting everybody stoked for our show, and they're setting the bar high for us, which is really cool.
Yeah,
it's great.
So I want to tell you, I mean, you and your music were such a part of my youth, and your concerts were, I mean, so much fun. I mean, 2 times you played the Warfield in San Francisco in 2000 and 2001, and you pulled me up on stage both times because you did that awesome thing where you pull fans on stage. Yeah, I mean, my best friend at the time had made me a guitar pick book, and I'll just nerd out and share with you, that I got a bunch of your guitar picks from back then. So. And still have the ticket stubs from those shows. So.
You need to update that, man. We haven't had the yellow ones for a while. We got
So you guys sent me a couple of new guitar picks then, right? So got to see.
Where do you live?
I'm in Vacaville, California, so just outside of Sacramento. So yeah, you're hitting LA, on this tour, but not the Bay Area, I think. So hopefully,
we're not really hitting LA. We're on the tour. No, we're doing a one-off festival called Flannel Nation, and we're doing that on August 13th. So it's not part of this tour. This tour is over this Saturday, is the last show of this tour of the 30th anniversary. And then we're doing a few shows. Actually, we're playing a place called Corning, California. Isn't that close to you?
Corning, Corning.
Yeah.
I gotta look it up. Let me see. That's not too far. That's not too. That's doable. Yeah, about an hour and a half. That's doable. So that's in the next couple of months. I didn't see that date. So has that not been released yet?
Yeah, no, it's a confirmed date, and it's gonna be just us and Fastball. It's not gonna be the next ones on that one.
Okay,
but yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Okay, I've got to check out that show and then get some guitar picks for me. So some of the new ones. Tell me about the 30-year album, kind of going back to World of Noise. Like you discovered those tapes. What was that like for you to go back and listen to that and dig back into that music, remaster those songs?
It was cool. I mean, I deal with a lot of my music. I don't really dwell on listening to my older stuff, but I had always been a little frustrated with the way the mastering sounded. The EQ sounded on World of Noise that came out, that was put out by Capitol in '94, which is the prevalent copy that's out there. And I just, when I found those tapes, I felt good because I had wanted to put it on digital platforms, but I was reluctant to put out that version. So when those came up and I listened to them, and they said and A-B'd them, they sounded so much better. So I was really pleased to be able to put that up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I'm sure as you were digging around, you came across a bunch of other stuff that you're like, it's like a nostalgia fest for you in a sense, right? Of just like taking you back to that period of time.
Yeah, I'm not really nostalgic about that,
No,
but yeah, I did find the original Color Finger tapes, and I'm going to put out remastered, maybe even remix Color Finger. I'm not sure yet. I might try to remix a couple of songs and see what that sounds like, and put a version out where that it has both. You know, um,
yeah,
I don't know. That's either next year or the year after. I've got a lot going on, but that will definitely come out because fans are buying that album for like $300 on CD, and that's just ridiculous.
no, you're like, I can make this easier for you. Yeah. Uh, what can you tell me about Shakin Brave as we're talking about the old times? I mean, like, tell me about that.
I found the original mixtapes for Shakin Brave as well.
You
And
did.
there's nothing but really crappy third generation on YouTube cassette mixes that sound like they were recorded in a different house or something. So these sound great. They're ready to go. I'll probably put that as, I don't know if I'll put that as part of Color Finger, or I don't know what I'll do, but I want to get that out there for people. It sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Shakin Brave was my Shakin Brave. You wanted me to talk about Shakin Brave? I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, go for it.
Shakin Brave was my first real band that was my band. I had a couple before it, but not with my original songs. This was my first real band. I was a singer-songwriter. It was a three-piece. We recorded the first time I'd ever been in a studio. I recorded a demo, and yeah, so it was a big deal for me at the time.
Yeah. Well, what did you take from Shakin Brave that you were able to take into Color Finger and Everclear ultimately? Like, what were some of the big things that you learned from that period of your life?
I just learned how to record. I learned how to, I got more comfortable on stage because we played, probably Shakin Brave probably played the whole career of the band, maybe 20, 30 shows. Not that many.
Yeah.
Color Finger probably did 100 shows, in a period of 3 or 4 years. Easy O's probably did about 30. Just more comfortable on stage, more comfortable with being able to emote, being able to play, and just I always had the attitude and the swagger, but it just became better crafted as time went on.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I took anything from it. I'm sure I did. Just each new project, I got better at what I was doing, and the bands got bigger followings as I got better, and the bands around me got better, and playing with better musicians, and just building up to the point where Everclear was at the right place at the right time. And when I say at the right time for us, we were firing on all cylinders. So, yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me about going back to Return to Santa Monica? That album, I mean, you put a lot of the hits on that album, but you also did some really awesome covers on that. How did that come together, and how did you select what songs you wanted to cover?
A lot of bands will do re-records so that they own the masters, right? I mean, they don't, because bands that are on major labels, back when they were doing deals in the 90s, they were signing deals for perpetuity. So they own those original masters. So a lot of bands try to recreate those versions. And I never really wanted to do it, but to be honest with you, the guys came at me with enough money to do that I could record 2 albums at the same time. And I did. I recorded Invisible Stars. So
Nice.
that's why I did Return to Santa Monica. And they asked for some covers, and I just did some covers that I liked.
Yeah. Yeah, the Tom Petty was great. I mean, it Won't Back Down. I mean, the most unexpected one I'd say was I Will Follow You Into the Dark. Like just hearing an Everclear cover of that song, you wouldn't expect it, but but you brought your own flavor to it, and it was an awesome addition to that album.
Thanks, man. That's a great song. Ben just killed it on that song. It's a great song.
Oh yeah, I've seen him perform it live, and it's incredible. You know, it's a really powerful song for sure. So you put out Sun Songs, which is a solo album, and it does have a different feel than Everclear songs. But did you consider that as an Everclear album? Like what differentiated that for you?
Well, I played all the instruments.
Yeah, that made it easy. So it's just you, Art all the way.
It's not an answer. It's not even remotely an Everclear album. I think the argument could be that the other albums are my albums, because I recorded them and I produced everything, but I use other musicians. On this, it was just me.
Yeah.
Mostly acoustic guitar, as you can tell. Yeah.
Yeah, but so beyond.
There was only two people in the studio, me and my friend Stuart, who engineered it and co-produced it.
Yeah, so it really was bare bones, simple. Like, did you, as you were writing it, were you in kind of a different headspace where you're like, this is going to be completely separate. This is just me, and
yeah, I knew going into it. When I started writing songs, feeling like I wanted to make a record, I didn't want to make an Everclear record. I didn't want to go in and make this huge thing. I wanted to do something. I did it at my studio, which is about a mile away from my house. We only worked 2 days a week. Whatever you need, though. Does Derek have his? Does Derek have his radio? Sorry.
You're good.
The crew's loading in, and I'm in the back of the bus. Here we go. I'm sorry, what was your question again, Steve?
You're good.
We're about Sun Songs?
Yeah, exactly. You're kind of your space in terms of writing it and headspace really mostly.
I wanted to write a song about where I was now, a more mature record, that had, I moved back to California, and I just wanted to do an album. One of my favorite albums of all time is Nebraska by Bruce Springsteen, and it really had that gritty feel to it. And I didn't want to just do that and just copy him, but I wanted to do it my own way. Where, I try to write songs that are acoustic, and I'm a huge Joni Mitchell fan of Neil Young and all that stuff. So that those have always been big influences to me. But when it comes down to it, man, I'm a rocker. I'm a rock and roller, and I'm not a folky guy. I try to write folk songs. It doesn't really work. But there's a couple songs on that record, Sun Songs, that I'd like to re-record with Everclear, like in a more punk way, like a song called Line in the Sand. I think that'd make a really great punk song. So
yeah,
I've been thinking about that. I'll see.
Yeah, for sure. And you did a solo tour. I think it was solo acoustic, and you did storytelling, right? Along with that, how was that tour for you?
That was fun. You're talking about the Songs and Stories tour?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that with some friends of mine from other bands, and promoters just didn't know what to do with it. Once they saw it, they were like, "This is great," but it didn't sell very well because people didn't talk about it, and press didn't write about it. It just didn't sell very well. So going back and doing that again with promoters, I don't think is a viable option because it didn't do very well. Unfortunately, because it was really fun and it was good. Everyone who saw it loved it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the sort of thing. It's like you have you have this thing where you have a band that's in this kind of genre and you expect something of them, and then they kind of depart from that a little bit and strip it down and kind of, and the storytelling, I mean, it's like MTV Storytellers or whatever that was back in the day, right? I mean, there's something so unique to that, and I don't know, as a music fan, I would appreciate something like that. I wish I'd gotten to see that to it.
It was really cool, but we told them exactly what it was. We told them exactly. I mean, written out exactly what it was, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know it was acoustic." I go, "Look at the one sheet we sent you." "Oh, I didn't read that." There you go. They just saw Art Alexakis, and Art Alexakis from Everclear. You know, it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know how people's thought processes go, but whatever.
You've dealt with that all the time, though.
Yeah,
you'd love to do it again.
Yeah. You got about 5 more minutes. I got another call coming in, man.
All right, sounds good. Yeah. Well, I'll ask you 1 or 2 more, and we can wrap. Okay. But I want to know. So I saw a picture of you on your socials, I think from last year, of you playing Bottom of the Hill in '95. I want to know kind of what fun memories do you have from the Bay Area, shows in the Bay Area that you did. Obviously, I saw a couple of them myself, but that was later than '95.
Everclear in '95 at the Bottom of the Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that. That was, I think we did 2 shows in one night. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty packed. And, I used to live down the street from I used to live over in Portola Hill.
Portola. Yeah.
Yeah, over in the flats there, in the lofts. They got those lofts over there. I lived over near there, right as they were starting, like right before I moved. About 8 months before I moved out of San Francisco in '91, they opened Bottom of the Hill. So Colorfinger played there like 2 or 3 times. And Everclear's played there probably 3, 4, or 5 times. And I played there solo as well. It's great. It's a great gig. I love playing the Bay Area. We used to talk about those Warfield shows. Those shows were great. The Fillmore shows back in the day were great. It's fun.
The Fillmore is amazing. I love it. There's so much energy there. It's incredible, right? Yeah. So what do we have going forward? Obviously, you talked about you have a book you're writing, right? And I know you're finishing up a degree you're doing. Like, you don't slow down. Like, tell me what is the next couple year or so look for you?
I finished getting my degree in life coaching. I got that, and accredited in 3 different degrees. And then I got about another year to get my alcohol drug certification so I can work with people in recovery. And once I got that done, I got 5 more. So I get about 1.5 years to get my psychology degree. And then I'll be done with that. I'll start getting clients, probably coaching and counseling later this year or early next year. And just work with people who are like already working in the industry. I just want to work with creatives because I understand that. Yeah. But other than that, I found a guy I want to work on my book with as an editor, not as a ghostwriter. I want to write it myself. But I'm already writing down notes and stuff, and just working on my sober program, and spending a lot of time with family, and just gotten to a place. I turned 60 in April, and I'm just in a place where I just don't want to do anything unless it's fun, unless it gives me joy. And I've turned down shows for money, which I can't really afford to do, but it makes me happier in the long run. So it's like stepping over pennies to pick up dollars.
Yeah, you got to do what makes you happy, man. And I look forward to that book coming out. We got a limited time, but hopefully we'll be able to see you at the live show and get to shake your hand and thank you for all the years of music and everything, because
thank you, Stephen. And get some more picks. Don't forget that.
We got to get the picks. It's guaranteed. So
all right.
thank you, Art. Have good luck on the tour. We'll chat soon. Okay.
Bye-bye.
That was my interview with Art from Everclear here on Concert Pipeline. like I said, some pivotal moments from those Everclear shows back in the day. They were memorable and enjoyable, and I used to, and still do, like get to right at the front of the crowd. For him to pull me up on stage, I had to be right there, right? And I had to make it known that, hey, look, you got to pull me up, dude. I am going crazy. I am excited to be here. I am bringing the energy, and I did. I had fun. I got to, I'd jump up and around on stage, and it was cool to go to those shows with friends and get to kind of scratch that itch of the live music and getting to hear bands that we heard on the radio live in concert in a relatively small venue. I think the medium and small venues have always been my favorite to see shows. I mean, big shows are cool. I've had some memorable big venue shows that I've gone to, but a lot of times it's just too much. It's just too much. I like the intimate feel of the smaller venues and even theaters like the Warfield. Getting to be on the floor and up close in this big, beautiful venue is amazing. So that's Everclear for my experience. So that's going to take us to our second show and kind of dovetail in really cleanly to Smash Mouth. Like I said, I was listening to their Everclear's album on the way to Smash Mouth's show in Turlock a couple weeks back. They were doing a show. It was another one of those. I don't have kids today. What should I do? And so I reached out. I emailed Zach Goode, the new lead singer of Smash Mouth, just really on a whim in the morning. And I was like, should I go to this? Should I go to this, or should I get things done around the house? And I decided to, you know what, I'll shoot out an email to Zach. If he replies, great, that'll be the decision. If he doesn't, then that'll firm up that decision on that front, right? So I'll just let the cards land where they did with an email to Zach, who I'd interviewed and was on the program probably a month and a half ago or so, maybe 2 months. You can go back to that episode of Concert Pipeline to watch or listen to it, where we interviewed Zach Goode about his new gig with Smash Mouth. And so shot him an email, said, hey, I'm thinking about going to the show, don't have any kids. You want to hang at the show? I literally was like that. And I was like, why not, right? He got right back to me and said, hey, not sure what the schedule's like, but can totally get you on the list. And he did, and he was able to set that up for me. So with a backstage pass and everything. And so I was like, okay, going 100 miles away to Turlock. That's what we're doing today. So I traveled out to Turlock. It was a pretty great drive. And I went and saw Smash Mouth, and I was on the list. I got a pass to the Stanislaus County Fair and a backstage pass for the band, which, I decided to go back after I went around the fair a bit, watched the Great American Duck Races, and then went to check out Smash Mouth. So before we get into any of the performance, we're going to play a couple of songs from Smash Mouth's set. Before we get into that, I want to kind of go back on Smash Mouth a little bit, because Smash Mouth's one of those bands that, my friends bust my balls about in terms of music I liked when I was younger. And that Smash Mouth was really like my first real favorite band as a kid. I mean, I was like 12, 13, 14 even. And I have some memories of Smash Mouth that play a big part in my life. And I told Zach about this, to a very small degree. I told him that they were my first favorite band when I interviewed them. And at the show, that this is nostalgia for me a bit, right? And so going back, like their first Smash Mouth's first album, really, like it was one of those albums that I listened to a lot. And the first album was, I don't even remember the name of it, to be honest. I have to go back. Okay, Fushu Meng. That's it. I always forget it. It's a little confusing. Fushu Meng, but that's a song with Walking on the Sun, the Fonz. Let's see, Beer Goggles, Let's Rock, that sort of thing. It had a lot of great songs on it. And so, I mean, that was a piece of my youth, as well as their second album, Astro Lounge, which is more commercially famous. But Smash Mouth was like my first concert. Also, when I was 14, I went with my mom and sister to Alice Is Now in Zenfest in San Francisco in Golden Gate Park, and I went to that concert. Alice Is Now in Zenfest every year for 10 years. I didn't miss one of them over the course of a 10-year period of my life. So there's about a quarter of my life that I spent making sure I went to that concert. And a lot of times I was part of the environment at that concert as well. Like I knew the DJs and I knew the promoter for the festival, who got me in and got me backstage sometimes, so I could meet some of the bands, and I got video passes and recorded some video of like Maroon 5 and other Duran Duran and other bands playing one year, so I got to cover that concert as well as go to it. But as the first year was just as a fan, and I got to see Smash Mouth and some other bands. I think Travis might have played, if I remember correctly, but the Wallflowers played. Never really got into them, never liked them much, but they played too. And so it was cool to get to see Smash Mouth live. And that was a piece of like, this is, this concert. I love concerts, so shows after that I would, itch to go to and get to see bands that I like live. And I remember one time I went to a radio station show in San Jose. I had a VIP pass of some sort, I think, because of the TV program. And I was young. I was like, let's even say I was 18 then, maybe. 17, 18. And Smash Mouth was playing this radio station concert. And and I talked to the promoter at the radio station or something, and she, who had set up the pass, and she was like, "Hey, everything cool? Everything good?" And I was like, "Yeah, oh, man, I was really hoping to get backstage though. I had balls. Then, like, to be able to just ask for a backstage pass." And she was like, "Oh, go over to the booth and tell them that I said you could have a backstage pass." And I talked my way into a backstage pass at that show. And I remember getting to go backstage and seeing Steve Harwell and being, obviously a fan. I'm sure he saw it on my face or something. I was excited to just be in his, his presence and be there. And he's like, "Hey, you want a picture?" I think I got 2 pictures, a picture with him at 2 different occasions at that show. And that was so cool to me. It was just cool to be there and be a part of it. And then get to see them play live also. So I've seen them a handful of times. I saw them at the California Music Awards, the BAMIs, back in the day when we had those, and I knew the promoter for that event, and they were playing. I was backstage, so I didn't get to see a lot of the performances because we were interviewing bands. We interviewed like Joe Satriani, and we met Jacoby Shaddix from Papa Roach, and some others backstage that we ran into, and we interviewed Greg Camp, the guitarist of Smash Mouth. And it's funny, like the promoter asked me, "Any bands you want to interview? Anyone in particular?" And I said, Smash Mouth is one of the ones that I said. And Joe Satriani was cool too, because he's an amazing guitarist. And so we interviewed Greg Camp, my old best friend Stephanie, and she interviewed him, and was like flirting with him and everything along those lines. Greg Camp was one of the songwriters, the main songwriter for Smash Mouth for many, many years. And so that was pretty cool. I mean, I have memories of this band that go back and all the way up to when they played at Bottle Rock in Napa. And I got to interview Smash Mouth, the current iteration at that time, for the first time. I never got to interview them or anything really. I've seen them backstage, and we interviewed Greg Camp that one time, but I didn't interview him. And so I interviewed Steve Harwell and his crew, whoever else was in the band at that time. The whole band was there back at Bottle Rock in the interview, and I think it was my birthday also that I was interviewing him on. And my daughter, I think, had given me this card that had Smash Mouth song in it. And I took that to the interview, and I was such a nerd. It was nerding out a little bit, right? Talk about nostalgia. And so I remember in that interview with Steve Harwell, I told him that Smash Mouth was like my favorite first band. And his reply was, "I'm sorry." And that just cracked me the fuck up. Like that he could even find the humor in in their band, and how much they sold out, and being someone's first favorite concert, yeah, all of that, right? Like he could find humor and joke about, his place in the world in that band, right? So it's a nostalgic experience, and going down to Turlock, and 100 miles away in the middle of nowhere, in the spur of the moment, solo by myself, to see this show, was kind of just going back down, that is scratching that itch. And I'm glad my buddy Joe didn't bust my balls too much about going the nostalgia piece, but I'm like, look, I live my life living it up, making memories, and I'm like, why not? If I have time, let's do it. That's my motto, and how I try and live my life. And so I went out and did it. And I was backstage at Smash Mouth, and just sitting backstage for a while, hanging, and I got a couple of free drinks, not alcoholic drinks, but non-alcoholic drinks, soda and a water or whatever. And then Zach came out of the tour bus, and I went up and said, hey, and he's like, hey, Steve, how's it going? We chatted for a few minutes. He had other things to do also. We chatted off and on throughout the night for a couple minutes here and there. And this was his sixth performance with Smash Mouth, sixth live performance. So he's still really fresh with the band, and they're still getting their groove and their dynamic, and kind of feeling things out a bit. But getting to see him live, he really he made the performance his own, while paying respect to the band and the songs, and and he didn't grow up on Smash Mouth either. So he had to learn a lot of the songs from scratch as he was kind of taking over this role. That was one of the things he told me in the interview I did with him a while back, and so it was a lot of fun. And and I had, with his backstage pass, I was like, I was hanging backstage as they were about to go up, and he's like, Steve, hey, why don't you go watch from the crowd so you can see and hear it well? And I was like, I kind of want to watch from the side of the stage, if that's okay, for a little bit. But I did both. I watched a couple songs from the side of the stage, standing right on the side of the stage, and then went out to the crowd and enjoyed the show with the crowd for most of the set, and then went backstage again for the last song or two. And that because I had seen the set list, so I knew kind of what was coming up, and went back and watched the end of the show from the side of the stage. One other, you know what? Let's play a song, and then I'll share one other memory here. So I want to share this song. The first of the songs that we're going to play is "Why Can't We Be Friends?" This is another one that kind of goes back for me, and I just remember loving this song, listening to it on the album over and over, and rocking out to it. And so the fact that they still have it in their set, and it's one that's a kind of a fan favorite, is awesome. So let's play that.
I'll buy you a corn dog.
That was Why Can't We Be Friends by Smash Mouth at the Stanislaus County Fair here on Concert Pipeline. And we're going to play another song. And this is a song that, you know, I talked a little bit before about having balls, but I didn't have balls in this instance right here, because there's a piece of me that was, you know, thinking about, you know, should I ask Zach to come out, for me to come out on stage and sing this next song at the end of the set with him? Should I go there, or is that just dumb? I'm like, I didn't work myself up to asking that. If I had asked him, you know, he might have even said yes. He might have been cool with it. It's a song I know all the lyrics to, and a song that I sang at the Napa Town and Country Fair when I was probably 14 on stage in the karaoke contest. And again, I am not a good singer, but I'm about getting out and doing it, and, you know, not having any regrets, and, you know, and trying not to be too nervous about stuff like that, just getting out and having fun. So I learned the song ahead of time, word for, you know, I played it over and over. I got the karaoke CD. I learned this song, right? And I went to the California Town and Country, whatever, Napa Town and Country Fair as a kid, and did this song karaoke. And I think I got to the second round, probably because of my stage presence or something, and not because of my singing abilities. And then I didn't make it past that, so that was done. But this next song, again, is one of Smash Mouth's famous, or possibly their most famous song that they have. So they close the show out with it, and it would have been funny to just be out on stage and playing a song with Smash Mouth, and just to have video of that or something would be mind-boggling. I don't know. It's again, this is nostalgia for me too. So it would be really, really cool to have had that moment, I guess. But I didn't talk myself up to asking to do that, and it wasn't offered. So we'll just leave it at that and move on from there. So this is Smash Mouth's All Star here on Concert Pipeline. Somebody once told me the world is going. The shop was doing the shed. She was looking at down with her finger and a thumb in the shape of an F on her forehead. The S up and the back to the roof and the ground. To the next thing I live up, afraid that she was naked. So one to do, so one to see, so one to go and take the back seats. And then I'm waiting on the level, and it's not the other. that was All Star by Smash Mouth, one of my old favorites here at Concert Pipeline, because she, had the shape of an L on her forehead, right? Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. Head to the rules and I hit the ground running. It makes sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart, but your head gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with take you in the back streets? You never know if you don't go. You never shine if you don't glow. All right. Hey, now you're an all-star. That's all I'm given. That's doing it. I did it. I didn't go full all in, but I did it. So we're gonna move forward from there. Thank you to Goode for being freaking awesome. Taking the time for a long, in-depth interview, hanging backstage at the show in Turlock, and for picking up the torch and running with it and keeping my childhood, favorite band alive. Thanks, Zach. It's going to take us on to the next and last band as part of the Nostalgia Fest, Steve's Nostalgia episode here on Concert Pipeline, and that is Motion City Soundtrack. So I wanted this band to be included in this episode also because it was a very unique, special tour that they were doing. They had broken up a couple years back and just called it, right, and moved on. Justin Pierre, the lead singer for Motion City Soundtrack, had a daughter and is invested more in his family life and also his solo music. He put out some solo EPs and music and it was doing some other stuff, and he's like, I think we're good on Motion City Soundtrack at this point. But they did a couple one-off shows here and there, and probably need to pay the bills, to be honest, and brought a tour around to a 17th anniversary tour, actually, for their album Commit This to Memory, which is their second album, and it's one that was pivotal. I just said pivotal twice. Pivotal in my kind of development of music tastes, and so it was really exciting to get to see them. But kind of before we get into the concert, let's go back in terms of my nostalgia factor with Motion City Soundtrack. I interviewed Justin Pierre and Joshua Kane from Motion City Soundtrack on their tour bus at their show at Slim's in 2006. I want to say maybe it was even earlier than that. 2000, it could have been 2000, anywhere. It could have been anywhere. I don't know. 2003, even possibly. And I liked the album at that point. I wasn't in love with it. It wasn't a part of my branding of me growing up or anything along those lines. I enjoyed it, and I remember in that interview, they teased a video that they were going to be releasing soon for a song that had a curse word that had a lot of curse words in it, and I couldn't pull what it was, and I should have been able to, but I didn't at the time, and so I missed a couple of their references in the interview. The video was for their song "Let's Get Fucked Up and Die," and or as they abbreviate it, LGFUAD, and so I missed that, but I really enjoyed the interview, and I became a fan of that band. Slightly before, but then definitely after that concert, which was incredible. And I've seen them a handful of times, a good number of times after that, and interviewed them on several occasions. I've interviewed Justin Pierre. I did a best of episode of my old TV show, Concert Pipeline, back in the Concert Pipeline TV days. Again, this had to have been 05, 06, somewhere around there on Warp Tour. I interviewed him. What was really unique and fun about that interview was he was getting a manicure while we were doing the interview. It's like it might have even been a mani-pedi even. He had that scheduled kind of at the same time, and they offered it at Warp Tour to the bands, I guess. So he went for it, and he was doing that during the interview. It was great, and it was, and then I was putting together a best of episode of Concert Pipeline, and so I used Justin Pierre, and I hung out with him a little bit afterwards. I had him do some connecting points with some of my other interviews, talking about the artists and everything. And I remember he connected the Kevin Smith piece where I'd interviewed Kevin Smith, and he's a fan of Kevin Smith also. And so I don't remember exactly what he did for that, but I remember him enjoying doing that piece. And then I had the best of. I put it together, and I remember for that episode, I think it was like 35th episode or something. I had a bunch of friends over to my house in San Francisco. I had gotten a pony keg and food and everything, and we had a showing on a big screen, like a projector on a wall of my best of episode of my show, which was weird because I'm not the type to usually flaunt my program or stuff or anything. I'll talk about it with friends and here and there if they ask questions and stuff. Once in a while I'll be like, oh, I got this cool interview, I'm pretty excited about it, but same thing anybody would, but I don't do a lot of that stuff. So it was kind of weird just with all your friends sitting around watching this thing that you made and put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into, over years, sort of thing. So anyway, Motion City Soundtrack, lots of good shows that I've seen of them live. They put on a fun show. Justin is funny also. He's really humorous. And this album, Commit This to Memory, is special. I got to see them perform it for their 10th anniversary at the Fillmore with my best buddy, Joe. He went with me to it, even though he's not a Motion City Soundtrack fan. He went and we rocked out, and he got to see me sing along to every damn song on that album that was played. And so this was kind of going back to that and to the joy I had of listening to this album hundreds of times over the years. It's one where I could sing probably almost every word of the whole album and just love it, right? And so we're going to play a couple songs from their set, but I'll only play one from Commit This to Memory, and then we'll talk about the rest of the show. So let's get into the first song from oh my gosh, Motion City Soundtrack. This is probably one of my favorites from the album, and it is Everything Is All Right. was Everything Is All Right by Motion City Soundtrack here in Concert Pipeline. And we're going to play one more song from their set. After they played the whole album, they went off stage, had an encore. Everyone chanted, one more song, one more song. And then they came out, and Motion City Soundtrack's drummer was like, I hear you saying one more song, but how about we do a bunch more? How about 10 more songs? They came out and played another 10 songs in their set, and close out the set with this next song, which is another favorite of mine, one of my favorites of theirs that was not on Commit This to Memory. And this is a song called The Future Freaks Me Out.
That's it. That's all I got. This is about the future and also the past.
So that's it. That's a nostalgia fest. That's, you know, that's going back in time in my catalog, in my brain, and some of the music that I like growing up as a young music lover. And thanks to all three of those bands for being a part of my youth, and for being so cool over the years, and for taking the time for the interviews and all of that. Right, so much fun stuff. So we're going to close out with some music news. Let's do a couple of stories real quick before we get out of here. With what's going on in the music world. Okay. First story is this band. There's a band called Foxing, and a fan of the band went viral for climbing the ceiling at an Ohio show. And the band compared this moment to a scene in the 2018 horror film Hereditary. This iconic moment occurred at Cleveland's Grog Shop on Monday, in the midst of the outfit's North American tour. And there's fan shot footage where it wasn't just the attendees mounting the ceiling that caught people's attention. The ardent fan proceeded to scuttle along the ceiling gear from the middle of the room to end up hovering over the stage. I mean, this is pretty interesting stuff. And let me see if I can show the picture here for those watching on YouTube. But yeah, you can see this fan hanging over the stage and the crowd and everything, just dangling there. It's the band reacted comparing, and I already said that part. Okay, so there's not a lot more to that story other than a fan was dangling, but that's where we're starting the music news. The next story is about Marcus Mumford of Mumford and Sons, and he announced a 2022 North American tour. Let's see, he's going to hit the road stateside to support his debut solo album. It's self-titled. It's due to arrive on September 16th. The tour is set to kick off in Boulder, Colorado, which is always a unique place to start a tour, but I think they might be from Colorado. And it's got a bunch of shows. It's a pretty extensive tour. The closest it gets to here is Los Angeles, I believe. There's three Southern California shows on the tour, but no Northern California shows for those in the Bay Area and around. So Danielle Ponder is going to open for Mumford and a bunch of dates, with the A's supporting some other dates, and you can look those tour dates up online. But I think Mumford and Sons is on hiatus, so that's all there is for that right now. Okay, Peter Jackson of Lord of the Rings fame is going to develop very different Beatles film with Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. He says it needs technology that doesn't quite exist at the moment. And in an interview with Deadline, he revealed that he's in talks with McCartney and Starr to develop a new film. Jackson's last worked with the pair on the Emmy-nominated documentary series The Beatles Get Back, which was released in November of last year. It's a very COVID series because most things were shut down at that point, I believe. So a lot of people could hang at home and watch 8 hours of a series that was released all at once. And it was just a very surreal insight into one of the greatest bands of all time. Making an album, and I believe it was their final album. I didn't get all the way through the series. I watched like half of it, but he said, we're seeing what the possibilities are, but it's another project with them. It's not really a documentary, and that's all I can really say. We are never in a position where we have to do anything, but we've got a few things percolating. And he wasn't able to share too many details, he did suggest that his vision for the project will require technology to improve. It's so technically complicated. I'm trying to work how exactly I'll do it. It's a live action movie, but it needs technology that doesn't quite exist at the moment. So we're in the middle of developing the technology to allow it to happen. I'm trying to anticipate what I might be able to do before it even exists. They're not fantasy epics, but they're pretty interesting. Let me see here. That's kind of his jam right now. He's trying to do that. It reminds me of James Cameron trying to do one of those blue people movies, Avatar, right? I think that's right. And those are going to be coming out finally, but it just took forever for him to kind of rein in the technology to make that happen. So we'll see what happens there. From Ringo Starr to Ringo Starr, really, right? Ringo Starr and Taylor Hawkins are featured in an upcoming Let There Be Drums documentary. A new documentary will feature interviews with Ringo Starr, Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the late Foo Fighters member Taylor Hawkins. Deadline reports that the Hawkins segment may be the drummer's final filmed interview. And filmmaker Justin Kreutzmann, who is the son of the Grateful Dead's Bill Kreutzmann, he's also featured in the documentary, helmed the picture, which will come out October 28th. Other featured stickmen include the Police's Stuart Copeland, James Addiction Stephen Perkins, and former Guns N' Roses member Matt Sorum. So he decided to make the film to better understand his dad and his dad's instrument, but an interaction with Hawkins made it something bigger. Some might say this was the film I was born to make. Others might call it therapy, he tells Rolling Stone. Since I was young and my dad gave me that first Super 8 camera, filmmaking is all I've ever wanted to do. My school grades could tell you that. And obviously growing up around the Grateful Dead, my first movies were the people and the crazy things going on backstage, which leads us to Let There Be Drums. So that's going to be coming out. He said it wasn't until Taylor Hawkins stopped our interview and said, maybe this isn't for the documentary, but what was your home life like? I found from then on, I was having a dialogue with these amazing drummers instead of just Q&A. They were as interested in hearing about my dad, Jerry Garcia, and the Grateful Dead as I was about their bands and their lives. So a really interesting thing happened. The film became more about family, but these families just happened to be drummers. So we'll see what that's like when that comes out October 28th. I'm actually pretty excited to see that and to see Taylor Hawkins' part in the film. So breaking news that Billie Eilish just dropped a surprise guitar songs EP featuring 2 new songs. It's only a 2-song EP. It's 8 minutes long. There's 2 songs called TV and The 30th. I listened to it right before recording this pod. It's worth a listen. Check it out, especially if you're a Billie Eilish fan. Okay, now to our continued segment. We like to close it out when we can with a Dave Grohl story. So we're segueing from a Taylor Hawkins story into a Dave Grohl story. And Dave Grohl talked about how his daughter's generation will create the next revolution. He says, give it 3 or 4 years and you'll see how this mutation is happening. He's spoken about how he believes his daughter Violet and her generation will create the new revolution. Violet Grohl, who's 16, has shared the stage with her father on numerous occasions in the past, including Foo Fighters' headlining set at Leeds Festival in 2019. She's provided backing vocals on the band's latest album, last year's Medicine at Midnight, and more. And in January 2021, Dave Grohl hailed Violet as an incredibly talented musician who can pick up an instrument and learn it within a week. He added, to be her drummer is one of my life dreams. And around that time, he said Violet was considering making a shoegaze album and that he wanted to play on it. Speaking in a new interview with MSNBC, which was recorded prior to the death of Taylor Hawkins, by the way, Dave explained how musicians and fans Violet's age are currently paving the way. What I see is this mutation, this change, this growth and progression that her generation, they're the rock stars now, he said. It's not the old guys like me. It's people like Kanye. It's that generation. Give it 5 or 10 years, give it 3 or 4 years, and you'll see how this mutation is happening. And Dave, if anybody knows what's coming around the corner like that, it's Dave, right? So he's excited to hear what becomes of his daughter and her generation in terms of music. So, all right, that is our show for today. Thank you for going down this nostalgia train with me and allowing me to indulge in some of these things that were such a part of my growing up. So upcoming episodes on the program, Uncle Bard and the Dirty Bastards, had a chance to chat with them, and also She Wants Revenge, I had a great chat with Justin Warfield from She Wants Revenge. They're back together and we go deep with that interview. Michael MacArthur, Lillian Axe, those are ones that are in the works. Lots coming up here on Concert Pipeline. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, all of the above if you like the program. Appreciate you tuning in. So for all of us here at Concert Pipeline, I'm Steve Jones. We'll catch you next time.